As we pointed out, there is opposition to Measure M on the November ballot. With us, Robert Farrell, former member of the Los Angeles City Council from 1974 to 1991, and Damian Goodman, who's the campaign manager for the No on M measure. He's also with the Crenshaw Subway Coalition. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Councilman, let me ask you first. You were around when Tom Bradley helped start the ball rolling on building transit in Los Angeles. There's the argument that is made by the city of LA that this is an extension of that legacy. You don't see it that way. Why?
No, I don't. The considerations of the communities south of the 10 freeway is a big question mark. Where is ours in this? Where is the conversation that has us part of the process saying, we will buy into a calendar, we will buy into prioritization of projects, but we believe that we're being stiffed this time.
Why is that? Because you don't like the plan going forward that has your projects essentially decades away from breaking ground.
A promise was made when the plan was put together and a timeline established. And to have that pushed back for what? For the convenience of some other part of the county after we thought we had an agreement.
Mr. Goodman, explain that.
Well, we passed Measure R in 2008, and there were projects that were within the South Bay and the Southeast cities that were supposed to be coming online in 2020-something, or late or early 2030. Then this mayor came into office and proposed what is now Measure M, and we saw new projects, such as the 405 corridor project, a $10 billion project, and others leapfrog those projects and get greater privatization. And then the underlying reality here, Conan, is that some of these lines were proposed in the 1980 map. Some of these lines were proposed in the 1990 map. Some of them were proposed in the 2008 map. We still don't have any of them. And so no one believes that anything that's going to be built 35 or 40 years from now will take place. But they all will be continuing, they all will be taxed immediately January 1 if this measure passes.
But the mayor will say, listen, we have this argument regarding when things will be built. But if you don't pass this measure, there will be no money for any of it, whether it's 10 years or 20 years or 30 years down the road.
Well, they should have told us that when they asked us to pass A in 80, C in 90, and R in 2008. At what point will it be enough for this agency? At what point do we begin asking them to evaluate their spending priorities based on transportation needs and transportation priorities as opposed to politics? Because if you look at this, if you look at the amount of money spent solely on West Side and San Fernando Valley projects and compare it to the projects that are proposed in other parts of the county, specifically the South Bay, specifically the Southeast, specifically South Los Angeles, there's great disparity, there's great inequity. And so this is not an issue of transportation need. This is an issue of politics, and this mayor doing something that Tom Bradley and Villaraigosa did not do when they were passing their measures in the past, and alienating a large segment of the county. The South Bay cities and the Southeast cities represent 60% of the county. 30% of the county, half of the county that is not in the city of Los Angeles, and they strongly stand opposed. And in South Los Angeles, we're opposed as well.
But Councilman, they'll say, listen, if you relieve traffic throughout the county, it will have an impact on every city in the county because you'll be able, in terms of commerce, the transportation of goods and services, it will be far easier, that it will raise all boats, and that essentially, yes, your projects will take a while to get to, but even a project in Los Angeles will have benefits to cities in the south part of the county. Do you believe that?
I believe it's an argument that's made, but the plan is the plan. We agreed that we would have our projects at date certain. We do that based on our participation, our confidence in the people who are involved in the process. And remember, we have constituents too that we have to go to. And they're as important to us as taxpayers and constituents any place else in Los Angeles County. And our communities look to us for leadership, and that's us doing our job.
I'll tell you this, Conan, what I do like about the conversation. We're finally talking about start dates. Because frankly, when you tell any voter that the project in their backyard is going to start in 2040, when you tell voters that the improvements on I-5, I-405, I-605, I-710 might be delayed 40 years, they begin to think twice. They begin to think twice just from the fact that we're talking about a forever tax, a permanent half-cent sales tax increase, which avoids any type of accountability for the Metro Board, gives them a blank check to do whatever they want. And given how they have proposed this plan, could you imagine what they do 4 years from now or when the money really starts rolling?
Well, for clarity, let's just remind the viewer that you're not representing the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. There are tax groups that are opposed to the tax hike out of principle. You just believe that this should be defeated, and they need to start over with a different ballot measure with a different tax that prioritizes some of your projects. Do I have that right?
No, let's be clear. This is a historic coalition that involves elected officials primarily in the Southeast and South Bay, some in other parts, including Burbank, that have opposed this tax, in West Side, in Beverly Hills. But it also involves transit advocates. It also involves leftist organization. It involves those that are firmly opposed to any type of tax. We all have seen this plan and recognize it's bad. But the bottom line is, Conan, if you're going to come to the electorate, why not establish a sunset date? Why not say, have us prove ourselves as we did when we passed Measure R and said, let us come back in 30 years, you evaluate us. Why would Metro ask for a blank check that avoids any form of accountability to the voter and allow them to do whatever they want going forward? It's irresponsible. Most of these elected officials in their areas wouldn't even think of proposing something. And on that basis alone, whether you're a conservative, a moderate, a liberal, you should be voting no.
Damian Goodman, the chair of the No on M campaign, thank you very much for joining us. Councilman Robert Farrell, thank you very much, and thank you for your service to the City of LA for all these years. Up next, a very different town hall meeting. It's called Virtual Reality. We'll have a look when NewsConference returns.